It's good to be back. Um, yeah. Hey, would you come sit with me for a while? It's been over a week since I posted anything, and I almost didn't even post this. Not because I not because I had nothing to say, but because the storm had gotten so loud again that I forgot I wasn't it. You know, the last couple of weeks have been rough. Not just emotionally, but physically too. And probably anybody that has communicated or talked to me at all in the last couple of weeks has probably picked up on that. I've been coming off of my Adderall, trying to live without it, and that wasn't something that I intended to do originally. But between some confusion with my doctors and some canceled appointments, here I am. And that meant, and I kind of knew it going in, that there was a chance of having withdrawal symptoms, but that definitely happened. And I haven't experienced anything like that, withdrawal wise, since I quit drinking for the first time probably about 8 years ago. That was rough, but I think I'm gonna tell you what, like, coming off of the alcohol was, I think, probably more physically demanding than this, but from a mental standpoint, even with everything that I try to practice in my day-to-day life, it was one of, if not the hardest mental battle that I've ever had to face. And it came with waves of exhaustion. I would go from feeling just fine and like I could do 200 things at once, like I try to typically balance. And then I would have waves of exhaustion, just total exhaustion. Waves of anxiety, downward spirals, and sometimes I felt like I couldn't hold anything together, no matter how hard I tried, no matter how hard I tried to abide or go with the flow. It just wasn't there. And I think the worst part of it wasn't even the symptoms. I think the worst part was that voice in my head that was still whispering, see, you're still broken. You'll never be any better than this. And I kept telling myself that over and over and over and over. I think it was Saturday. We had something happen, and I lost it. I'm not going to go into any detail, but when something happened that the newer, quote unquote, version of me, with all the tools and all of the right things to do and practice and say, that version of me was gone. Between my self-hatred, my self-doubt, and just the coming off of the medication, I it was the first time in months that I felt out of control. Like I wasn't the one steering the ship anymore. And that was hard. Having to listen to that voice in my head tell me that I'll never be any better than this, and truly believing it, was the closest I think I have come to just thinking everybody would be better off if I was gone. I'm not saying I was, I had some dark thoughts, and I like to think of myself as a person that would never go there. But those thoughts, they were heavy. And even without going that way with it, my mind just kept telling myself that the kids and Julie, everybody that I've ever known, would just be better off without me. But you know what I realized? Even in the middle of all of that pain, being in the middle of that storm, I was still here. I was still watching. I was still breathing. I was still the one witnessing the chaos. I wasn't it. And I think that's the thing, isn't it? You're not your fear. You're not your anger. You're not even your thoughts. You are the one who sees them come and go. Like clouds. Like lightning. Like wind. And, I kept thinking, I've already learned this. I already know how to abide or go with the flow. So why couldn't I stop the spiral? But I think I get it now. And it's hard. It's very hard for somebody wired like I am to accept that. But I get it. The goal was never to stop every storm that you encounter. The goal is to remember who you are, even when you're stuck in the middle of it. Not to conquer it, not to fix it, but to just truly abide in it. To write it out, to remember the ground is still beneath your feet. And look, I'm not trying to say that realization magically made everything better, because I think I honestly realized that about Thursday or Friday last week, and I still had 3 or 4 more days of really being in the storm. But it did something. It gave me space to breathe and to witness. Just to stop fighting the storm and just watch it pass. And if you've been there too, if you've ever felt like you had all the tools and you've gathered them all up and suddenly they don't work for you anymore when you need them the most, you're not failing. You're just in a storm. It doesn't mean that you've lost the path. It just means that the clouds are blocking your view for a while. And that's okay. Because the truth is, you were never the storm in the first place. And the more you remember that, the more peace that you'll find, even in the middle of all the chaos. Well, this has been The Pointless Truth. It's nice to get back to having something I feel like uploading and being in the right state of mind to actually not only sit down and write, but to record again. So I appreciate the handful of new subscribers. Thanks for sticking with me, and I'll catch you on down the trail.